Hello. So yesterday we had a apologetics competition, and it was basically a free speech that you could choose in 4 topics. You can either talk about God, Jesus, or true Father, or the existence of God, or you can talk about media. I chose the existence of God, and I was lucky enough to win. And it was actually, I didn't know that this was happening, and I just came in and my mom told me it's happening. And I was a bit surprised, but I thought it was a joke. Okay. So today, I think I'll just say the same thing as I said yesterday. Okay. Okay. So today, I want to talk about one macrocosmic level and one microcosmic level of why I think God exists. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little story a man had with God. So the man asked God, "God, what's 1,000,000 years to you?" And God said, "A second." And man said, "Oh, then what's $1,000,000 to you?" And God said, "A penny." He said, "Oh, then can I have $1,000,000? And he said, "Sure, in a second." Okay, moving on. We're going to be first looking at the macrocosmic level. It is almost universally accepted in the world of science that the Big Bang created the universe. The Big Bang is when, in a certain period of time and space, pre-existing matter exploded, that pre-existing matter became more dense, and that created the universe. But that begs a question: where'd that come from? To truly understand this, it is important to understand that the Big Bang was not an explosion in space, but the explosion of space, not the explosion in a certain period of time, but the beginning of time. Not the explosion of pre-existing matter, but the creation of matter itself. So whatever created the universe has to be beyond space, beyond time, beyond matter, something spaceless, timeless, and immaterial. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what God is. He's omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. But the most fascinating thing about this is that Jews and Christians have always believed that God has created the universe, let alone out of nothingness. In the Bible, it quotes, "In the beginning, there was the Word." The Bible implies God has literally spoken the universe into existence. Do you see how mind-blowing this is? For thousands and decades, the Bible was correct. Okay. Now that we looked at the macrocosmic level, let's look at the microcosmic level. And for that, we're going to be looking at DNA. DNA is a fascinating yet complex structure made out of multiple amount of cells that is the blueprint of all living things, including you and me. And just to give you an example, the amount of information that can be stored in a pinhead's volume of DNA is equivalent to 5 times of paperback books from the distance from Earth to the moon. And one strand of DNA, this tiny thing that you can't even see, that you can only see this with a high-powered microscope, contains the information that can create 30,000 paperback books. Once again, this begs the question: where'd this come from? In the world of science, one of the core laws in the world of science is that information cannot be created by matter by itself. It has to have an intellect. When you trace that information, it has to have a source. And well, in my opinion, I think one strand of DNA that can create 30,000 stacks of paperback books is quite a lot of information. So to put this simply, DNA is pointing that God exists because DNA is a creative information. Therefore, it has to have a creative intellect, which is God. And well, there's this theory called Darwin's evolutionary theory. But you have to understand, in Darwin's period of time, scientists did not have the right tools nor the information to see what was inside the cell. In fact, when Darwin first saw the cell, he thought it was very elementary, that by few instructions you can create another copy of it. And Darwin actually quoted in one of his words that if the first life form on Earth was more complex than his theory, then his whole theory of evolution would be incorrect. And all these facts are one of just many facts that God exists. And I truly believe that by learning these types of facts, and such as apologetics, is very important because it can bring people such as you and me and other people closer to God's community. Thank you very much.